Okay, so I mentioned it yesterday. I want to kind of go back to it. The report came out from Adam Schefter that the Saints have made calls about trading up into the second round to get a quarterback, presumably one Jaxson Dart. Obviously, the Saints have the 9th pick in the first round as of right now. If they want to trade back up into the second round, or possibly late in the first, which we'll get into, to grab Jaxson Dart, they're obviously not going to take a quarterback at 9 overall. Where would they go? Look, we've said here for months now. I've said it. T-Bob said it. Jake said it. I'm sure Hunt, Matt, whoever has mentioned playmakers on the offensive side of the ball. I would be good with that. Look, we've talked Teteroa McMillan. We've talked Tyler Warren. Some people have even brought up Ashton Genty, that if he falls to 9, he's that special of a player to where you can't pass up on him. Well, CBS Sports put out 2 different mock drafts yesterday. One by Jonathan Jones, the other by Ryan Wilson. Both work for CBS Sports, and both of them had the Saints taking Texas left tackle Kelvin Banks at 9 overall. Interesting that both of them had that also. You go look at all the betting odds. Kelvin Banks, not necessarily the favorite, but his odds have improved drastically to go number 9 overall to the New Orleans Saints. Now, you're going to sit there and your knee-jerk reaction is going to be, we can't do this again. Offensive line, defensive line. Like, I don't want it. I want an impact player. And I totally understand that. And look, you can feel a certain way about Kelvin Banks. That's fine. Take the name out of it. You still do need help on the offensive line. And if you're devoting, potentially trading away picks to come back up and grab your quarterback of the future in Jaxson Dart, then you might as well protect it. So if you take Kelvin Banks at 9, look, he was a really good player in college. You go look at PFF. They have it broken down by what he had done. His overall grade in 2024 was 86.2. That's not bad. He's played a lot of football over his 3 years in Austin. 2023, 13 games. 2022, 14 games. 2024, 15 games. I mean, he's essentially a lot like a Will Campbell the day he stepped foot on campus, has been your starting left tackle, and he's been really solid at it. Speaking of playing left tackle a lot, they break down snaps by alignment. So how many snaps he has taken at a certain position on the offensive line. 2022, 857 snaps at left tackle, no snaps anywhere else. 2023, 983 snaps at left tackle, no snaps anywhere else. 2024, over 930 snaps at left tackle, and guess what? You guessed it, no other snaps anywhere else. So if you draft a Kelvin Banks, let's say both of these guys from CBS Sports are correct, and you draft Kelvin Banks or someone that is strictly a left tackle at 9 overall, I'm kind of okay with it. Yes, Taliese Fuaga is your current left tackle. I thought he was pretty good as a rookie. I sat up here last year and said I would like Taliese Fuaga to be the pick, but the reason I said that was because of his versatility. We saw him a lot at right tackle in college at Oregon State. You saw him play a lot of guard. I believed he had the ability to play left tackle. Saints obviously believed that as well. He went in there and he did a good job at left tackle as a rookie. But what did you hear about Fuaga coming out of college? He can play both sides. His more natural spot might be at that right tackle position. You still have Trevor Penning at right tackle that Saints fans are not thrilled about. And I get it. Penning certainly improved last year. But how much does that say? I mean, he's improved over the lost cause that you thought he was when he was at left tackle, left guard. You really couldn't put him in the lineup. He was below average last year, right tackle. He was not anywhere near the level you would feel comfortable rolling out that offensive line under a young quarterback, whether it's Spencer Rattler in his first full season starting or a rookie like a Jaxson Dart if you do decide to draft him. If you draft Banks, would you move Fuaga to right tackle? If you do that, Fuaga and Kelvin Banks are going to be your left tackles. You obviously are going to have Cesar Ruiz. I don't think you can replace him this year. You're going to have to piece it together, but then you have Eric McCoy at center. I mean, that's 3 to 4 solid pieces. I mean, I get it. Cesar Ruiz has not been great. He's been a below average starter. He's been a liability at times. It's probably what you're going to work with on the inside. But you can at least shore up the tackle spots. I wouldn't hate the pick. It's not what I would have originally thought, but there's a lot of people right now saying, hey, Saints value O-line, D-line at the top of this draft. They want to get a quarterback later. Speaking of getting a quarterback later, I mentioned that Adam Schefter put it out. We have a write-up at LouisianaSports.net about the Saints' interest in trading back up into the second round. You're already at 40, but what happens if the Giants want a quarterback in the second round? The Raiders want a quarterback in the second round. Pittsburgh's sitting there at 21. They need a quarterback in the first round. You can say, okay, well, you're already at 40 overall. That's the 7th pick of the second round. How much higher can you move up? It's not about how much higher can you move up. It's the teams you would have to jump in order to get the guy that you want. I personally believe Shedeur Sanders is going to fall in this draft. I think it's very apparent now that the Saints are not going to take him 9th overall. It does not appear to be the case. I don't think the Giants are taking him. I don't think the Raiders are going to draft a quarterback, at least not that high. They might take a quarterback at their second round pick, which is another team the Saints would have to jump. They're not going to take a quarterback at 6 overall with the potential weapons that are there after you sign Geno Smith and gave him an extension. So let's say the Saints do want Jaxson Dart. Well, Ross Jackson put this up on LouisianaSports.net, a nice write-up. He has the Saints actually trading up all the way to 32, so the very last pick in the first round, to, of course, the Philadelphia Eagles, who we know the Saints love to trade with. He has the Saints sending the number 40 overall pick, so the Saints' second-round pick, 131, one of your fourth-round picks, and your 2026 second-round pick to the Philadelphia Eagles in exchange for 32nd overall and 134. So you still get a fourth-rounder back. It's just a few spots back. I think you maybe make that trade. I mean, I was in the boat of keep your draft picks. You have a ton of them. Make as many picks as you can. I totally get that. Okay? Look, let's say Shedeur falls to 21. I think there's a chance that happens. And let's say Pittsburgh takes Shedeur Sanders at 21. You look at the rest of the first round, not a ton of guys or teams in the first round necessarily need a quarterback, but look at your second round. You're still going to have the Browns there at 33. You're going to have the Giants there above you in the second round. The Raiders pick above you in the second round. All of those teams, they may not value a Sanders in the top 5, but they're still probably looking for a quarterback. If you have a fear that one of those teams could potentially grab a Jaxson Dart, you may have to move over. And I'm okay with this because, okay, you give up 40 overall, but you get a first rounder in exchange. So you win that. You give up 141, one of your 2 fourth-round picks, but you get 134 back. So you essentially lost 3 spots in the fourth round. I'm okay with that. The fourth round's a wash. 131 to 134 to me is a wash. You win 40 to 32. Essentially, you have a chance to trade back up into the first round under this scenario, and really, you only lose a 2026 second-round pick. Because you're giving up 2 picks, but you're getting back 2 in this draft. There's been a lot of people that said, keep all your picks. You don't really lose any, at least in this draft, and you're giving up a 2026 second-round pick. Now, again, this comes from Ross Jackson. This is just a scenario that he threw out there. I think that would be a home run. I personally think you have to give up a little bit more. I personally think the Saints may have to trade up a little bit higher to get a Jaxson Dart. But if that's the scenario, Dart's there at 32, you can make that. You give up 40, 131, and your 2026 second-round pick, and in return, you get another first-round pick from Philadelphia and 134 overall. I think you make that all day long. Because, again, you're not losing anything in this draft, and in the first round, you now have, if it's Kelvin Banks, your starting left tackle, and possibly who you believe to be your quarterback of the future. Whatever your thoughts were the last couple weeks or so of what you want the Saints to do in this draft, I get it. They need a pass catcher. For what it's worth, in this mock draft that Ross wrote up, he has the Saints taking Tyler Warren 9th overall. So maybe they do get a pass catcher in the first round. Everyone talks about a receiver on the outside. Look, if you stay put at 40 overall, all the quarterbacks you're in love with are gone, and Jaden Higgins is there, I'm all for taking Jaden Higgins. I think he's been really good in college. He's kind of one of those underrated guys. A lot of people have mentioned Tetero and McMillan. Oh, well, he's 6'4", he's 215 pounds. You got to grab a guy like that. You don't have a guy like that on your roster. Yeah, guess what? Jaden Higgins, 6'4", 215 pounds. He's likely going to be there in the second round. I'm okay with that. But if you are absolutely certain that Jaxson Dart is the quarterback of the future, I'm okay with making this move. But let's say you have to trade up a little bit higher. What if you gave up a second-round pick? You still wanted to move up a little higher. Again, I think Shedeur is going to be there at 21. But what if he's not? What if a team like a Colts, who I don't think is going to take him? I mean, the Colts have Anthony Richardson and Daniel Jones, which, first off, imagine being a Colts fan and having to figure out which one of those awesome quarterbacks is going to win that battle. That's a depressing thought. I don't think they're going to take a quarterback because you have Richardson, who's still young, who you invested a lot in. You spent a top 10 pick on him, and you brought in Daniel Jones as a veteran to battle for that quarterback spot. I don't think you're going to draft a quarterback, at least not a guy that you think is going to come in and start this year. So while I think they do need one, because I've already given up on Anthony Richardson, I hated the pick when they made it. I don't think they're going to do that quite yet. And where else? I mean, 12, the Cowboys, they're not taking a quarterback. Arizona could at 16. I don't think they will. But what if somebody trades up ahead of Pittsburgh, grabs Shedeur Sanders? Steelers could potentially steal Jaxson Dart from him at 21. So let's say the Saints are dead set on drafting Jaxson Dart. They don't quite want to do it at number 9, but they'll do whatever they can to get back up into the first round. Who's at 20 overall? You may have to jump in front of Pittsburgh, who's at 21. 20 overall is the Denver Broncos. I was not in those rooms. I don't know what the relationship is, but I do know something. Mickey Loomis and Sean Payton certainly have a relationship. Sean Payton has brought in a lot of former Saints players that were with him in New Orleans to Denver. Would they be willing to make some sort of a deal? Especially if a lot of running backs are on the board. And I think there will be. It's a pretty deep running back class. What if you gave up your second rounder this year, your second rounder next year, and threw in one of your 2 fourth-round picks to get 20 overall? Might do that as well. You have another fourth-round pick already. You're giving up that 2026 second-round pick, like Ross mentioned. You're going up to 20 overall to get what you believe to be the quarterback of the future in Jaxson Dart. Denver's not going to take a quarterback. The biggest needs are tight end and running back. Those are popular picks as far as what's been mocked to them. Some people have mocked Colston Loveland from Michigan. A lot of people have mocked Amarian Hampton out of UNC. Again, both of those are deep positions at 40 overall. A Mason Taylor could be there. There's going to be a ton of running backs available at 40 overall. Would Denver make that move? I think that's wishful thinking. I'm just throwing this scenario out there. I don't know if the Saints could trade up quite that high. But if they got desperate enough, Shedeur's already off the board, they're worried about Pittsburgh at 21, they may at least make that call. Look, it's going to be something to watch. We know a few things. From all the insiders and all the so-called draft experts, it doesn't look like they're taking Shedeur at number 9, and it looks like they really like Jaxson Dart, and they'd be willing to move up and make a move. Whether you're for that, whether you're against that, that's kind of what's being laid out in front of us right now. Now, we'll have to wait and see on Thursday night if that comes to fruition, but that's kind of the rumblings that you're hearing right now, whether, doesn't really matter. Schefter, on this morning on OTB, we had Nick Underhill on. Ross Jackson with us, he has it. 2 guys at CBS Sports that I just mentioned, their mock drafts, they have it as well. It kind of seems to be the consensus right now that the Saints are not taking Shedeur at 9, and they really like Dart, and they could trade back up. We'll see if they do that, where they trade back up, what they have to give up to do it, but it certainly seems like that is a possibility for the Saints here in the 2025 NFL Draft.
Hey, it's Hunt. Thanks for watching Hunt on Saints. Before you leave, help us out a little bit. Hit that like button, leave your comments in the section below, and hit that subscribe button so you get all our content right here from Hunt on Saints. We'll see you next time.